Join me for day 12 on my adventure of learning how to use a potter's wheel. Today I'm going to be creating a cylinder, and this can be used to make mugs later. A cylinder is a really basic shape for any potter, and this can be utilised, as mentioned, to make a mug or can be opened up to create a bowl. So I begin by first coning and centering the clay, pulling the clay up into those tall cone-shaped forms, ensuring to make sure that the clay is nice and wet, and slowly raising that cone up as high as I can. I do this so that all the clay particles face the same direction and that it's one cohesive centered mass. I then open up the clay using my finger and thumb, and this offers up the clay so that it makes it easier to pinch the walls later. I want to make sure that the angle between the base of the inside of the cone and the walls itself are as sharp as possible. So I'm bracing the edges of the walls in slightly to ensure that they are slanting upwards. The clay was wobbling a little bit here, so just doing a tiny bit of correction, making sure that it's nice and smooth and centered before I begin to pinch the walls up and lift. What I've learned over the past few days is that I tend to dig my outside finger in too much, and that creates this weird slice of clay that ends up getting pulled off. So what I'm trying to do now is when I pinch the walls in, I hold my index finger at an angle so that I'm pulling it all up together rather than creating this ring, which you'll see will fall off here. So that's something I've noticed after watching back at my own videos, and I need to kind of keep working on that angle as I pull the walls up. You can see here that that's a much better pull. It doesn't create all that excess clay. So what I'll be doing in this video is just continuing to pull the walls up and high as I can, and this will be the base for any mug that will come later. You can then attach the handle to it, or at this stage, if you were making a bowl, rather than continuing to pull the vessel up, you would then start to pull the vessel out. And that's where you get that bowl-shaped form. I've found it really interesting documenting my progress over the past few weeks. After only 12 days, I'm starting to see some good work. I started to notice that the mug was starting to splay out at the top, so I was just pulling it in a little bit there. And then finally, just removing some of that slip with the metal kidney. And this will allow it to have a really clean, smooth finish, but also dry out nice and evenly. What you do is you hold the metal kidney a fixed distance from the clay, and using your inside hand, you push the clay against the kidney rather than pressing the kidney onto the clay. Removing some of the slip from inside the mug, and finally just tidying up the base there, removing some more of that excess clay. Now it's time to remove the vessel from the wheel itself. So I do this by scoring a wire really tight underneath the base of the vessel several times before lifting. And here is the final mug shape. Hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to like and subscribe.